In 2006, Nokia and BlackBerry sold hundreds of millions of phones. None had true internet access. Most kept tiny physical keyboards, and carriers controlled the devices. 6 months later, crowds camped outside stores for a device revealed on a San Francisco stage, promising a phone, an iPod, and an internet communicator in one. What happened in those 6 months didn't just disrupt an industry. It redefined how people would live, work, and connect forever. How did a single keynote spark a revolution no one saw coming? In the years before 2007, the mobile phone was a device defined by compromise. Nokia, at its peak, shipped more than 400 million handsets a year, each built around a grid of plastic buttons and a screen barely large enough for a few lines of text. BlackBerry's signature QWERTY keyboard was a fixture in boardrooms, prized for email but rigid in its design. Motorola's Razr turned heads with its slim flip shell, but did little beyond calls and basic texting. Across the market, one pattern held steady. Every phone relied on physical keys, and every experience was shaped by the carrier's software rather than by the user's choices. Mobile internet existed in name only. Those limits were obvious. Networks such as Edge offered a theoretical maximum of 384 kilobits per second, fast enough for short email, but a far cry from real web browsing. Carriers pushed their own portals filled with weather updates and ringtones, while the actual web was reduced to clunky WAP pages that loaded slowly and looked nothing like what people saw on a computer. High data costs and sluggish speeds kept most people away. Fewer than 1 in 5 phone owners bothered to go online at all. Headlines in major newspapers questioned whether the mobile web would ever catch on. For most people, a phone was a tool for calling, texting, and little else. The idea of carrying the full internet, a media player, or a computer in your pocket felt distant, if not impossible. The world had grown used to these limits. No one was asking for a touchscreen or for software that could update and improve over time. The market was stable, predictable, and firmly in the hands of the old guard. On January 9, 2007, a single figure walked onto the stage at Macworld in San Francisco and changed the conversation around technology forever. Steve Jobs, dressed in his trademark black turtleneck, addressed a packed theater and delivered a promise. Apple was about to reinvent the phone. He spoke not of a single device, but of 3: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communicator, all fused into one. The crowd erupted, some standing in disbelief, as Jobs revealed the product name, iPhone. The moment electrified the industry. For months, rumors had swirled, but few expected Apple to discard the familiar blueprint so completely. The iPhone would launch exclusively with AT&T, which was formerly Singular, under a revenue-sharing deal that gave Apple rare control over the user experience. The price was $499 for 4 gigabytes and $599 for 8 gigabytes. The price was steep, yet anticipation only grew. Tech journalists filed stories from the keynote floor, calling it the most ambitious product launch in memory. In the days leading to the retail release on June 29, 2007, lines formed outside Apple stores across the country. Some camped for days, braving summer heat and sleeping on sidewalks, hoping to be among the first to hold the device that promised to combine music, communication, and the open web in a way no phone ever had. By the end of that summer, the iPhone was not just a new product, it was a cultural event, and the world's expectations for what a phone could be had shifted overnight. Glass replaced plastic keys as the iPhone's defining feature. The device's 3.5-inch display responded not to pressure, but to the lightest touch of a fingertip. This was not just a bigger screen. It was a new way to interact with technology. Instead of navigating with arrow keys or tiny joysticks, users could scroll through web pages with a single swipe and zoom into photos by pinching 2 fingers together. These gestures, now second nature, were born from years of research by a small Delaware startup called Fingerworks. Founded by John Elias and Wayne Westerman, Fingerworks spent the early 2000s building multi-touch keyboards and pads to help people with repetitive strain injuries. Their work caught Apple's attention, and in 2005 the company quietly acquired Fingerworks, bringing both engineers and their patents in-house. The iPhone's touch interface relied on capacitive sensing, a technology that measured electrical changes when skin contacted glass. Unlike the resistive screens found in earlier personal digital assistants, which required firm presses or styluses, Apple's system could register several fingers at once and distinguish between intentional gestures and accidental brushes. Engineers like Bas Orting and Scott Forstall refined the software, making sure the device could smoothly track movement, reject palms, and feel almost alive beneath the surface. The result was an interface that felt intuitive and direct, with no physical barrier between user and content. Suddenly, glass itself became the button, and the human hand was the only tool required. When Apple launched the iPhone, the company made a deliberate decision. The experience would be defined not just by hardware, but by the software running beneath the glass. Updates arrived over the air, bringing new features and fixes to users without the need for a new device. Unlike the static firmware of older phones, iPhone software evolved in real time, making the device feel alive and adaptable. This commitment to software control set the stage for Apple's next move. On July 10, 2008, the App Store opened its virtual doors with 500 applications available for download. The model was simple but radical. Developers could reach millions of users, and Apple would handle distribution and payment, taking 30% while leaving 70% to the creator. Within 2 months, users downloaded 100 million apps, a pace the industry had never seen. Stories like Steve Demeter's became legend. His puzzle game Trism earned him $250,000 in just a few months, allowing him to quit his day job and focus on development full-time. For the first time, independent developers could build real businesses inside a mobile ecosystem. Yet this new marketplace came with trade-offs. Apple's review process was strict, and early controversies, like the rejection of the Podcaster app for trademark reasons, sparked debates about gatekeeping and control. Still, the combination of seamless updates, a curated marketplace, and the promise of real financial reward drew thousands of developers, transforming the iPhone from a tech novelty into a platform with global reach. Nokia's senior leadership gathered in early 2011 to confront a harsh reality. Their internal memo, later known as the Burning Platform, admitted what the market already sensed: the old formula was collapsing. The company had bet on Symbian, a platform that splintered across dozens of devices and lagged far behind in touch performance and developer support. As the iPhone's seamless interface and growing App Store pulled users away, Nokia's engineers struggled to deliver a competitive alternative. By the time Chief Executive Officer Stephen Elop announced a pivot to Windows Phone, Nokia's global smartphone share had fallen from over 30% to just 14% in a single year. BlackBerry faced its own reckoning. In 2008, the company rushed out the BlackBerry Storm, a touchscreen model designed to answer the iPhone. But the Storm's clickable screen and sluggish software left users frustrated. Reviews were brutal, and sales never recovered. Meanwhile, Android's open-source model allowed companies like HTC to launch the Dream in late 2008, quickly matching Apple's touch-first approach. Within 4 years, the old giants had lost their grip, not just to Apple, but to an entire wave of new competitors who embraced the future faster than they could react. Apple's decision to unite hardware, software, and content under one roof proved lucrative beyond precedent. By 2019, more than half of Apple's revenue came from the iPhone alone, fueling the company's rise to a $3 trillion valuation. Each new release sent shockwaves through financial markets, turning annual launch events into global spectacles. But the impact stretched far beyond profit. For millions, the iPhone became a gateway to independence and connection. In 2009, Apple introduced VoiceOver, a gesture-based screen reader that allowed blind users to navigate the touchscreen by touch and sound. Advocacy groups called it a breakthrough, and surveys showed that within 2 years, a third of blind adults in the United States had adopted iPhones as their primary device. Yet with this new power came new questions. The iPhone's seamless design made digital life ever-present, fueling a surge in screen time and sparking debate over attention, privacy, and the true cost of convenience. The device that put the world in our pockets also forced society to weigh access against control and profit against responsibility. Today, over 6.8 billion smartphones shape how people work, connect, and think, a digital reflex born from a single, radical design. The iPhone didn't just change technology, it reset our expectations of reality itself. What we touch now shapes the future we live in. Thanks for watching.